Welcome back to Switch to Linux. So today what we are going to do is have a brief distro review, or not really a review as much as an introduction. We're going to have a look at the Tails Linux distro. So some people have asked about Tails in the past, and so I thought I'd go ahead and talk about Tails a little bit. Of course, Tails is an acronym for the how can I say this? Amnesic, like amnesia, amnesic incognitive live system, something to that general effect. I'll show you the website and you can actually figure it out yourself. I'm very glad they call it Tails. So Tails is basically a distro that is built exclusively for anonymity and privacy. You'd think I'd use it all the time with all of the talking about that I do, but I don't actually use it all of the time. And the reason, there's a few reasons. Number one is you really can't do much work on it. And if I just was in the habit of just turning things on and going, hey, let's just surf the web. Remember when surfing the web was a thing? Okay. If I were just surfing the web, I'd probably boot into Tails to do it. Because it prevents the companies, like, we've talked a lot about making sure that companies can't track down everything that you're doing. We've talked about all that kind of stuff. And the good thing about Tails is this is just going to totally kill their ability to track you down. Okay, your ISP will be able to tell you are on the Tor network. That's it. And the major advantage of using this is even if you install the Tor browser on your computer and you want to do some Tor connections to the internet, the problem is just downloading and installing the Tor browser. If you get it configured correctly, you are still risking DNS leakage. And what Tails will do as you boot it up is it makes sure that there are no incoming or outgoing connections unless it is all through the Tor network. And so what you can end up with is a situation where even the DNS leakage is likely not going to happen. It will also scramble your MAC address prior to getting on the network. Now, I'm going to do something today to do the distro review that you should never do with it, and that is boot it through a virtual drive. Now, I've actually, just in experimenting, I actually did put Tails on one of my Cubes systems as well. So one of my Cubes actually is Tails. Now, of course, Cubes does have the Tor network available by default through the anonymous portion that you can use. But by installing a Tails in one of the virtual machines, I could do an extra layer of security if I wanted to. So that being said, let's jump over and have a quick look at their website. So Tails is based on Debian, and it has the GNOME shell in it, so the GNOME desktop environment. You can see here with the latest Tails, which is 2.12, and it will tell you when the last update was, which was April 19th. So you have a lot of information here, the about guide, the getting started, documentation, a whole lot of information that you can use. Now, of course, they use Debian as their base. The only thing, there is nothing in Tails that goes into it that is not a completely audited open source application. So there's nothing proprietary in here at all. So that is one of those things that to keep in mind. So if you click on the install over here, what will take you to is they created this system to walk you through everything. So you choose which distro you are on, either Windows, Mac, Debian, or Linux. And then what they're going to actually do is walk you through several steps to install this. So you can either install it directly from the GUI, you can install it from the command line, or you can install it from another Tails install. You would need at least, you need a USB stick, you need about an hour or so to download Tails, and you need about a half an hour to install. Sometimes it downloads quickly, sometimes it doesn't. Now, this will actually download it and put it directly onto a USB stick. If you are totally paranoid, you will probably just want to download the ISO and put it onto a DVD. In which case you can boot the computer off of the DVD, which doesn't even have any write capability left, and then now you'll have a system that nothing can read or write. The advantage of doing the USB stick is you can actually install it with a persistent volume, much like Puppy Linux, where you can set it up so that when you boot into it again, then you can still save some data back and forth. The other option that you have is if you come down here and hit the download only, it will detect which browser you are using, and first you want to click on this to install the add-on. Then it's going to download the ISO, and then it will actually verify the ISO for you. So this way you can download it to a file on your computer. What I did is I downloaded it. And then I just threw it on the desktop over here, and we're just going to go ahead and boot into this. Now, as I said, you do not ever really want to run Tails through a virtual machine, but that's exactly what we're going to do.
Hi everybody, don't use Tails in a virtual machine.
It is actually going to give us a warning when we do that, by the way. So, with that being said, what we're going to do is we're going to boot this guy up here. And so I'm just using my basic virtual box. I've already put Tails in the optical drive here. I'm going to go ahead and give this a start. And then while that is booting up, I'm going to come to this one for now. So this way we'll be able to see everything that's on the screen rather than just being a little cap there. So this is going to take just about a minute or so to load up. It's going to bring us to a initial startup screen. What's up? Usually starts up a little quicker than that. There it goes. I see movement. I see kitties. All right. So here we have our initial startup screen. What you're going to do here is you are going to select if you want more options or not. I'm going to go ahead and hit select there just so that we know where we are going from. And then down here you can select your language that you'd like. We'll just go ahead and keep it on English. And I think... let's see, there's your locality, and here's your keyboard layout. So this is your keyboard layout. I'm not sure if this is your time zone or if this is the exit node. I have no idea. But you can pick what country you're in. Just pick whatever country you would happen to apply to you there. And then click the forward, and these are the more options. So if you set a password here, then this will allow you to set a... just do some basic administrator functions. If you leave this blank, you cannot do anything that would require a sudo account. So absolutely no administrator privileges if you leave this blank. There is the Mac spoofing, so you can spoof or unspoof it. By default, it will spoof your Mac address. And then there's some network configurations. If the network is clear of obstacles, or if your network is filtered, censored, or through a proxy, you can configure a bridge here. Or you have the option to disable all networking. So if you're using this as a means to, like a persistent volume Tails, as a means to do, classified work or something, you can disable all networking and be pretty secure that no one's getting in the back end of your Wi-Fi card as you speak. Now, it doesn't matter which one. I'm actually going to keep everything kind of as it is. And then when I hit login, one of the early pop-ups we're going to see is it's going to detect that we are on a virtual machine, and it's going to warn us to that effect. If I remember correctly, I think Guest Editions is on here. Just taking a look at my light up here. My light is so excessively bright, so I put a little cover over it. Hopefully it doesn't burst into flames with how hot that is, but my new studio light is like staring into the center of the sun. All right, so there is our warning warning, virtual machine is detected. You can hit the learn more here to get more information about it. Now, what it's going to do here is, since you are on a network connection, is the first thing it's going to do is it's going to automatically configure the clock. Okay, so the clock configuration has to be set right for the Tor network to work. And it almost looks like it might have already done that. So here you can come down and look at the onion circuit. So this will tell you where, where this is running through. And this is what we get with Tails. I might have been looking at the light when it was talking about configuring Tails. I'm not sure if Tor is ready to go. I think it is because of the onion here. I think would have an X through it if it was not ready. So with this, this is what we have here. It is just a basic GNOME shell. So if you come up here, you should be able to, I think it's because I'm in a virtual machine here. Usually if you hit the upper corner, it will allow you to pull down your side menu there. Let me see if I can change my desktop to a fuller screen here. It looks like those are my options. I thought it had guest editions in here, but maybe it does not. Anyway, so here it's basically what you see is what you get. Through your applications, you do have the Tor browser. There is also a unsafe browser you can see here. And I'm not sure, because Tails routes everything through the Tor network, I'm not sure if this would go through and actually launch this in the Tor network or not. So let me just go ahead and see. Oh, this might take a while. That's exciting to know. So here you can see it is definitely telling you that it is an unsafe browser. I'm going to transition back to that for just a second. I'm going to check the IP address. So yeah, actually that is actually routing me. That is not routing me through Tor. All right. So if I come up here though and I go into the Tor browser, hopefully with the Tor browser, if I do a check IP, then it will. So it says my IP address is something that's not really my IP address. So this guy here is routing all the networking through the Tor network. You can come down and look at all the applications. We have a Tor browser, iStuff for email. Again, not the most useful unless you're just going to be recreating your new internet account each time. But if you are using this for those applications, not a real big deal. You have your instant messenger, password, you have your terminal. For accessories, we have calendar, files, gedit, GTK hash, graphics. We have GIMP installed. GIMP and Inkspace. Did not expect that. LibreOffice, Simple Scan. Here's the full LibreOffice suite. Dacia. Okay. I don't remember if all these software packages were always in here or not, but you can see that it is a full suite. We don't have to add a whole lot to it, and a lot of it is they probably did a lot of that just so that you're not trying to install a lot of extra things. I think they just gave you most of the stuff that you might want on as a just as a regular thing. So on this, you can access your Tails documentation over here. And if I remember correctly, there should be something under utilities. Let's see, screenshot, passwords and keys. I was trying to see, there used to be, there it goes. Okay, so under Tails, this is where if you were going to use this on a USB key, you could actually set this up and configure your persistent volume. So, if you might want to walk around, I don't think I have one in there right now. If you want to walk around with just a little USB key on your keychain that is a private and secure Linux distro, of course, I use cubes for that. You could easily use Tails, and just configuring the persistent volume means that you can boot it up. If you boot it up without a persistent volume, you boot it up just like the way we're running it. If you do select persistent volume, you always need to go into that extra options that we started with on the initial screen. And then what you do is it will prompt you for your passkey for your persistent volume, which is, I believe that is a further encrypted drive. I'm pretty sure it should be anyway. And so if we try and click on this right now, it should give us an error because we are not running this on a USB stick. So if you just click on that, though, it'll walk you through, and then you can select which applications you'd like to include in the persistent. So you can use the persistent volume to set up your email router. And so when you load up the persistent volume, you can still have access to all of your email. So that's something that you can do with the system. Here you can come into, I believe, we're just looking at the help docs. Hi, Kitty. I thought Kitty wanted to leave, but apparently he does not. All right, so here's the basic information, warnings about Tails. So verifying, downloading, and installing it, user documentation. What? Oh, you just want to be cute. Okay, I thought he wanted to go. He just wanted to be cute. All right. There you go. Yeah, he's a happy kitty. He just wants to be cute. This is called Tails. Tails. See? Tails. Yeah? Tails. I'm just going to hold his tail during my Tails talk. All right. So, not a whole lot more in here than you would envision. The major advantage here is that you have the ability to come in here and, if I wanted to do something like, why would I use Tails? I would use Tails anytime I were doing anything that's, I don't really want, Google or my ISP or anything else to track what I'm doing. So if I might want to research something like, I have a red rash, I can go ahead and search for red rash. What? You're just going to sit. Okay. Cat's just going to sit there and be annoying today, apparently. Okay. So here's how I can look up things on rashes. Ooh, rashes. Okay, so here I can look these up, and I can look this stuff up without any marketers knowing I'm looking this up, without the ISP, without Google doing anything there. So there's a lot of things. Hey, that's my microphone. Leave the microphone alone, kitty. Leave the microphone alone. Diaper rash. Not cool. All right. So you could use Tails as a very good way to get in, build a persistent volume, store data, keep things securely, and access the internet securely through the Tor network. You could, of course, use this to access things on like the dark web, not the dark web, but like the deep web. Difference, of course, one of those is being anything behind a paywall, like your bank's back-end system, okay? That is dark web. There's nothing bad about that. It simply means there has to be a login to get there. But the deep web is all those other places that you can't get to on a regular browser, like the Tor sites and the Onion sites and things like that. And I'm not going to talk about those at all. I don't go there. I don't recommend other people really go there. It's just there's a lot of fine stuff there, but there's a lot of stuff that's not quite so good there, and that's not the reason you'd want to use Tails. I'd want to use Tails if a few different cases I'd want this. One is if I want to carry around a Linux distro that if I'm out and about and if I'm out and about and I need to access somebody else's computer, I might use one of these systems so I can boot into their computer, utilize their computer as a shell for my system, keeping things completely secure. It's also going to prevent my various accounts that I may have configured with my persistent volume from tracking the different locations I go to, so the different regions, which Cubes will not necessarily do. If I set this up on Cubes and I take this over to my friend's house every other day, they'll be able to track where I'm going based upon the IPs to recognize where I'm at one way or the other. Using this, your ISP can see that you are on the Tor network, but there's really nothing else out there that they can grab. So let's see, we talked about the Tor browser. I guess there's, let's see if you can still get into the Tor browser and check what your IP is. Used to be able to do that. I'm not sure if it's still there or not. Okay, yep. So when you first boot up your Tor window, of course, here's another thing. If you maximize this, it will give you a warning against maximizing. One of the things that Tails does is it tries to build one system. So anybody running Tails, assuming you've not configured or changed anything around, then your browser, your OS, everything will give the same exact fingerprint. And browser and computer fingerprinting is a big deal. Okay, because it's through fingerprinting that a company, if the company gathers enough data, then they can put together a fingerprint about who you are, what system you're on, what browser you're on. So if people run Tails and don't do any configuration, then in theory what happens is they unify the fingerprint. The only thing that really will change is the resolution of the system. But resolutions are delivered based upon the browser, what window and resolution is the browser at. So no matter what on Tails, when you open it up, it opens it up to this width browser. If you never adjust the size of this, then whatever it's set at gets reported as the browser resolution. All right, so if you maximize it, then the warning that shows up here tells the whoever might be tracking your data what your screen resolution is, and that's one piece of a fingerprint that can be utilized to identify you. Okay, so that's what's up with that warning there. Now, when you first log in here, you can click on this guy here, the Tor check button, and this will actually go in and show you what your IP address is. So this will tell you what is your IP address. It goes into some more information about using Tor safely. It tells you down here if JavaScript is enabled or disabled. Of course, JavaScript can also report things back. JavaScript has ways of getting around the Tor network. And so, and they could also execute a lot of interesting code through JavaScript. So if you're really being paranoid, you might want to disable JavaScript if you're running this. Again, I'm not sure I'd care as much, for this. Of course, I can pick my language down here. So this guy here will give you the latest news features. Looks like it looks like we might have a problem with our scroll wheel here. I'm scrolling down and it's bouncing all over the place. Not sure why that is. Yeah, something's wrong with the scroll wheel. Interesting. So there is a quick walkthrough. Of course, as you can see, it configured itself correctly. It will give you a warning that you don't want to access the browser until Tor up here is configured. I guess that's another thing. Let's go back and have a look at the Tor browser again. We'll show you the things on that. So you have they're running no scripts globally here, and they're running mu-block origin over here. And then down here under your router onion, this will show you where your IPs are coming from. So here, let me show you clicking on the Tor again. So it's looking at the IP address 15180. So right now, this site thinks that I'm in France. And so what's happening is I'm accessing the internet from the node in France, and it's bouncing back to United States, and then bouncing back to France, and then hitting this browser. So that is essentially how it works, because what Tor does is it does a series of encrypted handshakes, so the final location on the internet cannot go back and make the connection as to where this particular browser is located. So you can pull this down and you can see the current Tor circuit. If you click on the new identity, it will close all the tabs and reopen it. And then that's going to identify, it's going to reset up the network through a different series of nodes. So you can see that now it's going through Moldova, France, and France. The other thing you can do is, using the second option, you can, if you're on one particular site, you can choose a different Tor circuit for this individual site. So that would allow this individual site to show up as a different IP address, although the overall routing remains the same. So here we have 2 United States and we have a France. Okay. So security levels here, you can see that you can select your various securities. So JavaScript is disabled by default on non-HTTPS sites, or you can go up here to high. So you can configure all of the things the way that you want. Again, every change and every setting that you make that's not standard right out of the box will mess with your individual fingerprint on Tails. And so keep that in mind as you are deciding if this is something that you'd like to use. So there is Tails in a nutshell. Of course, everything else is the GNOME shell. And if I were not on a VirtualBox, I could throw the mouse up here in the corner and get my basic GNOME thing, which I'm pretty sure is a hot button or a hotkey to cause that to show up, but I don't know. Oh, there it is. It's actually the Windows Meta key. So here's what we have. Of course, the Tor network is fairly slow. So if you are concerned about fast internet browsing, Tor is not for you. I'm just looking at where my notifications are. But anyway, there is just a brief walkthrough on the Tails system, starting at the Tails website and then going down and installing it. Of course, you'd want to, what I would usually do if I wanted to run this is I would just install it onto a USB key, just with my regular ISO image writers. You could put it onto a DVD. You can configure a persistent volume, not configure a persistent volume. And if you want to see more about it or have more questions about this, let me know. It's not a distro I use a lot, but it is a handy distro if you need to make sure you get on. The other place that I have used this a lot actually is when I get a hold of scammers things, or there's another thing that's going around right now. In fact, I've so wanted to do this. Actually, I don't want to do it here. I'd rather not do this in a VirtualBox. But there is a new scam that I have seen for the first time this week going around on email. For a long time, I've gotten like, you have a WhatsApp notification. And no, I don't. I don't have WhatsApp. But scammers realizing that a lot of people have WhatsApp and whatever else. Well, the latest one is I've been getting, I think I've got 5 or 6 of them this week so far, since yesterday. Scam emails like, your Amazon order was canceled. Click here. And I so want to click that link. I'm not going to do it right here. What I might actually do is put this guy onto a CD drive or something, disable the hard drives in this computer, which is fairly easy to do, and then maybe I'll log into my email account and open up some emails, see where I go. That'd be fun. If you want to see me do something like that, I actually do have a video that I do that very exact thing. Open up spam emails on a Windows VirtualBox. It's kind of fun. I just want to see what happens. So anyway, that is Tails, a Tails introduction. I hope that was helpful for you. And if you do have more questions about it, maybe if I get enough questions about it, I'll do a follow-up video with Maybe I'll show you how to configure a persistent volume, something like that. Again, if you would like to help support what we do here at Switch to Linux, we do have a Patreon page. And I have been starting to slowly put up the cooking channel videos over there. I think some of them are open access. Some of them I think are behind the Patreon paywall. So, but you can head on over to the Patreon page there and get some up-to-dates on the cooking channel, where that's going to. Or you can help support any one of the projects, including this one here at Switch to Linux. So with that being said, thanks for watching, everybody, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.